The person in the picture is Victor Lustig, most famous and dangerous fraudster in the world. He has more than 45 pseudonyms. He wrote a book in which he included the 10 commandments in order to remain a professional fraudster. We'll tell you these commandments at the end of the video. Victor Lustig is the most famous fraudster in the world. 25. All French newspapers are publish news of the great losses that occurred at the Eiffel Tower after World War I. The economic situation of France does not allow the tower to be restored because its cost will be very high, worth millions. The government is considering the decision to demolish it, especially since it was not of the same economic importance at the time. In tourist which exists no news falls into the hands of Victor Lustig, the largest and most dangerous fraudster. He decided to use this news to his advantage. An idea comes to him that would never occur to Satan himself. Took the first plane and traveled to Paris. There I sold a standardized, professionally written message. The 6 largest scrap dealers in France invite them to a secret meeting with the French government in the most famous hotel in Paris. In fact, all the merchants who received the message will gather. They meet Victor Lustig, and the one who knows them himself on it, Deputy Director General of the French Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs. Government authorized him to sell the Eiffel Tower to one of well-known scrap dealers in France if necessary. This news should remain completely secret and not be revealed to any creature. If government is afraid of the people's reaction to this news, don't want any kind of chaos or confusion to happen, and only that they took an inspection tour of the tower to see for themselves the value of the Eiffel Tower, scrap and its material and heritage value, and convince them that he has the Sharia will enter history from its widest gate. His name will remain mentioned in the history of France for life because he was a smart man, is very experienced in reading body language and understanding people. He was in a dealer among the merchants who were offered a deal to sell the tower. He feels that it is easy fishing and that he can swallow the bait easily. However, this merchant seemed very greedy, so he was alone with him and convinced him the auction may be awarded in his favor, but he needs to pay. Marith Tower wished for a bribe, and this is what Victor Lustig would do to win the auction. And Victor Lustig was right because the merchant immediately agreed and accepted the offer. On the day of the fake auction, it was announced that the tower belongs to this merchant. He received the tower's wish and the bribe he requested from him. Immediately after that, he took the first plane outside the country and disappeared completely. After how many days? All the merchants knew that they were with a professional fraudster. The merchant who bought the Eiffel Tower could not bear the shock, had a heart attack, died before he even reached the palace. After a short while after, made sure that no one knew anything about the operation, nor did the government receive anything from it. He decided to return to France again. He carries out the same plan with the same steps. He actually sold it to 6 other scrap dealers. Same message and same operation details. Was able to defraud another merchant for 200,000. He took the money, boarded the first plane, and traveled to New York. At that time, the matter became known in France, and the police French newspapers began publishing details of the research about the man who sold the Eiffel Tower to which is Victor Lustig. 1890. Victor Lustig was born in Czech Republic, excelled academically, very well and educated. Handsome man who speaks very slow. Light is a child. He was good at juggling, was attacking people in the street through the magic shows he used to perform for them, and he was good speak pedals French, English and Italian because he can easily focus on businessmen. Knew very well that he had to establish himself correctly. Began his scamming career with gambling. Began to focus all businessmen in the prayer of gambling. Reason for these fraud operations was to carry out an operation. This is a bigger scam because he collects a large amount so he can buy a ticket for a trip on a luxury ship. Doesn't look at it other than well-known businessman in the world. He actually collected money until he bought the ticket to run out. This most famous operation is selling the Roman money box. This is a box of his own invention. At that time, radio was discovered. It is a radioactive substance and was a scientific breakthrough at its time, so he decided to use this term, which no one understood at the time. I don't understand its uses. Victor Lustig decided to use it, serve him for his benefit. Made a wooden box that worked with radio radiation, can make $100 every 6 horse. It is offered for sale for $30,000 because businessmen believe him. It was still inside the box. 3 intact $100 bills. First paper that the businessman lets himself reveal. Make sure it is not fake after selling the fund, and after there is no more after an hour. The box starts to reveal blank white. Perth businessmen discover that Victor Lustig was setting them up. Then he took the money and ran away. It was Lusticle the time creates and uses pseudonyms because he can deceive people easily, and for the police and security men don't reach it at all, so much so that he had 45 pseudonyms. She was on the wanted list from the Federal International Police. F.B. Lustig, after the tower sale de Level, realized that it is impossible for him to return to France again. He decided to start a new operation and plan, but this time in America, decided to focus on the most famous mafia man in America, Al Capone. History. Lustig convinced him of his intelligence to invest $50,000 with him in a fake deal. He contacted Al Capone, was actually convinced and gave him the money, but Lustig felt that he was not like the Capone gang and his revenge will be severe, so he decided to return the money to him again and told him the deal was lost and he would come back to give him all his money. Al Capone admired him and his intelligence. She decided to reward him with $5,000 because Al Capone liked him. He introduced him to the most famous currency counterfeiting gang in America. Lustig actually joined this gang. The American market was flooded with illustrated currencies and dollars, and one of the most famous forgery operations in America, the one named after Lustig Manor, because Lustig was very intelligent, wasn't leaving anything behind, not even a single piece of evidence. Be it despite all this, his silence was supported by one woman when his girlfriend found out that he was cheating on her. So I decided to take revenge on him. Police reported his movements and whereabouts. Was arrested in the year 190,034. He confessed to all the frauds he had committed in his life, but one day before his trial, he escapes from justice after 27 days. You arrest him. Againi sentence him to 20 years in prison. He dies in prison after a few years, but before he died, Sabkidab remained a method for all swindlers. Called it the 10 Commandments of the con man. These commandments, or these tips in short, are: it is strictly forbidden to drink alcohol. It is forbidden to neglect the general appearance. You must remain patient and a good listener. Do not wish for a political opinion. If the victim had a political opinion, that would be him also, exactly the same opinion as you. It is forbidden to talk about religion. It is necessary to know the religion and doctrine of the victim. You know everything about this religion. It is forbidden to mention anything related to the disease. Talking about illness reduces the chances of satisfaction in the session. Talking about ladies, unless the victim starts talking about them and his secret relationships. No rushing and remain completely calm. Whatever the victim's method or the situation that happened, it is forbidden to exploit the victim's personal circumstances. In simpler terms, be a compassionate person, and you must remain a very good listener. Of course, each point has a full explanation. Below examples of a man who died and left the legacy of swindlers and occupiers can depend on it. Victor Lustig did more about him from a documentary. And this is because he is a really very dangerous man, is considered one of the most famous and dangerous swindlers in the world.